In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you a simple way to sketch a person's face. Hi friends, welcome back to So Obvious. I'm Apollinar. For those of you who followed my channel or have seen any of my other videos, clearly you know that I've always liked to be involved in all types of art. The very first one that I did, and I think most people do, is sketching and drawing. And drawing faces was a really hard thing for me. In middle school, I actually learned this technique that I'm going to show you guys. And while it's not perfect and it's not necessarily usable for every type of art, it is a great way for you guys to learn the basics, especially as far as like proportion. And like I said before with sewing, it's important to learn the basics and the rules, so then you can learn to bend them and break them and do whatever you want. Now, one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind when watching this video and me walking you through this is that these are not rules, these are guidelines. Meaning that there is always going to be ways for you guys to alter these guidelines to create the look that you want. Now, when you look at other people around you, you notice that not everyone has the same face structure, not everyone has the same shape of face, you know, eyes are different, ears may be bigger than others, and because of that, I want to make sure that you guys realize that these are just generic guidelines that you can use to kind of build a foundation when it comes to drawing faces, and then use those guidelines to create more diverse, realistic looking faces. So the first thing you want to do is draw like an egg shape or even an oval to get your face started. Once we have that, we are going to use a ruler and we are going to find the center. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is kind of the underneath sketching, and then you would go in and either trace, or even with a pen or something more permanent, you would create the final drawing. So now we've got the centered vertically, we got to find the center horizontally and go across. We are going to use these lines to help us figure out where everything else on our face is going to be. So now that we've got this divided into 4 sections, we are going to find the middle between this line and the bottom of the egg shape. We're going to find halfway and put a mark there as well. And now we're going to repeat the process again. We're going to find halfway between this line and the bottom of the oval shape. This line that we drew, the first line going horizontally, is going to be where our eyes are going to sit at. The next line is going to be where the bottom of our nose is going to sit at. And this one down here is where the part of our lips, that is where the top and bottom lip meet. Find the center from this line to the top of the oval, right there. This is usually about where the hairline would start. So when you really look at this, I know that like when we draw out the features, the head is going to look really big, but if you think about it, this part is the top of your head, so it's not really part of your face per se. Now that we've divided it going this way, we're going to divide it slightly going this way. And it's all going to happen here at the line where the eyes sit. We have to divide from here to here in 5 equal parts, or as equal as possible. So our divisions are right here. This center one here is going to help us figure out how big the nose should generally be. So if you want, what you can do is you can take these lines and extend them down here towards where the nose would be. That way we kind of have an idea. Now we have all of our guidelines down. Let's go ahead and start drawing our features. I always start with the eye just because I find that the eyes tend to be a little bit harder sometimes. And the corner of the eye will end up here in this section. And if they go over a little bit past those guidelines, that's fine. You don't need them to be super perfect. You want them to be as even as possible, obviously. There it is, already messed it up. One eye's bigger than the other. Okay, so there we have some sort of equal eyes. Now I'm going to move down to the nose. The nose is going to end about right here. Now, how wide you want the nose is really up to you. Again, also the shape of the nose is really up to you. I'm just doing a generic looking nose, so we have an idea. Some noses are a little bit rounder, so you'd have a little bit of a bump right there. And then, of course, they lead in from the eye. So you can draw a little bit of a shadow there. At this point, if you want to, you can also erase this line just to clean it up a little bit. So earlier I said that this was the part of where the lips parted, but it's actually near the bottom of the lips. So I apologize about that. So something you can do is go up not halfway between this section and this section, a little bit lower, and kind of draw a line there. Now when it comes to how wide the lips are going to be, one guideline that some people follow and other people don't is you would draw pretty much like a dotted line from where your pupil on each eye would go. And you will try and keep your lips inside of that dotted line. Now we're going to go back up here by the eyes and we're going to do the eyebrow. The eyebrow, I don't really have a set rule for the eyebrow. I usually just try to make sure I don't go past this line because that's closer to your hairline. So I try to keep it somewhere in the middle. The shape really depends on, you know, who the person is, what kind of things they like. You know, if they were like a chola or something, you could just do like a little line. If they were like Brooke Shields, you could do like a super thick eyebrow. It's up to you. Just try to make sure that they are somewhat equal. They don't have to be twins, but they should at least look like they're related. I guess is the best way to. They also don't have to be square. I don't know why I squared them off. And then obviously if you were going for a more realistic look on eyebrows, you would probably do more of like the individual hairline, like this, and just shape them into an eyebrow than you were to do like an actual shape. Okay, so those look somewhat related. They're distant cousins, I guess. Now that we have the eyebrows, we are going to create the ears. The ears are going to go from the end of the eyebrow, which is about here and here, and they should go to about the bottom of the nose, which we already have that line there. Now, we're just gonna draw a little line about here, which is for like the chin. Depending on how prominent the chin is or isn't, you decide. And at this point is where we can go ahead and start erasing all these guidelines that we drew for ourselves. The only line I didn't get rid of is the hairline, just because I haven't decided what kind of hair I want to do on this person. So now that we've got all these guidelines gone, this is when we start adding in more details to our person, like eyelashes, the actual eyes, so they don't look like, you know, they don't have anything. So we'll just do a real quick fill in. You can even shape in the head a little bit more. This person ended up like with a really swollen face. You might even have to redraw things like the ears once you shape them in. And now that we got the face, we can kind of start working on the hair. So when it comes to the hair, this top section right here in the center is where the majority of your hair is growing from. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll see your hair parts, and it kind of does that. For some people, it does that little swirly thing. We're gonna pretend that's up here so that we know where everything is coming from. Once she has a little bit more hair, we'll kind of draw a neck in. For the neck, I usually start about midway through the jawline. You don't want it too small, you don't want it too big, nothing crazy. And here we have a very generic looking person, but using these guidelines, you can create all types of people that look all different ways. You can experiment with their eyebrow shape, their hair color, their hairstyle, you know, whether you want them to have big lips, small lips, really wide jaw. You can do all types of things. If you liked today's video, make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can also follow me on Instagram on @apollylook. There I post pictures of any projects that I'm working on and any upcoming videos that I'll be doing on here. If you didn't like this video, then I'm going to assume it's because you can't draw. And people who can't draw don't like drawing videos. I mean, I'm just assuming this is the reason. I'd hate to assume that it's because you're a terrible person. Okay, bye.